right, we'll let some people trickle in from our last session. All right. Awesome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Excited to introduce our next speaker, Drew Sanaki, CEO and co-founder at PostPilot. In this session, Drew will be sharing tips to beat the meta dumpster fire with AI-powered direct mail acquisition. Feel free to drop questions in the chat so that Drew can get those questions answered for y'all. And Drew, I'll let you take it away.
Thanks, Matt. Excited to be here. Thanks, ShipBob, for hosting. My name's Drew Sanaki. I've lived through 20 Black Fridays operating e-commerce businesses, and I try to distill my lessons from all 20 into this one deck. So hopefully some of them hit home for you guys. Number one is probably no surprise, use direct mail, but it's not really why you think. I think of like 3 reasons why you'd want to use direct mail, in particular over Black Friday. And the first is that, your whale customers, your best customers come through the channel. So a couple of years ago, before they went bankrupt, J.Crew cut their catalog trying to cut expenses. Nike did the same thing. They cut print. Both ended up really hurting their revenue line because they didn't realize at the time, but direct mail drives your highest lifetime value customers. So the ones that come in and spend more. I ran an automotive brand once where the customers we acquired through direct mail spent something like $5,000 a year. Those that we acquired through affiliate programs ended up around, $25 a year. So you don't really see it often on the first purchase, but most of the whales are coming through that direct mail channel. It's why you want to lean into direct mail over the holidays. The second's cost. So everybody knows cost per click, CPMs are all going to increase on any dynamic ad market during Cyber Week, right? It's because more and more competitors enter the market. Again, at the automotive brand I ran, we had for that week Amazon, Walmart, and AutoZone all entering the paid market. So our cost per click went through the roof. This year, you've also got an election. And the cost of direct mail doesn't increase. The price of postage is capped by the government. So whatever it costs to acquire a customer now or to mail out a mail piece to a household is going to be the same during Cyber Week. So a lot of marketers really like that predictability. CFOs love it. And then the third reason is owned audiences. Like, when is the time to lean in on digital channels? I think it's now, September and into early October. What you're trying to do is not always get a sale, but to get people into your owned audiences, right? Email, SMS, and direct mail are the 3. And you lean into those audiences during Cyber Week because it ends up being a lower cost per acquisition when you own the racetrack, so to speak. So that's why you want to do direct mail. How you do it, I mean, direct mail's come a long way from certainly when I was a kid, but it's really like full funnel these days. So you can do prospecting, which we've got a prospecting tool we can talk about, which is very similar to Facebook prospecting, where you do a lookalike off your customer data. You can acquire new customers. We've got retargeting. So you put a pixel on your site and you capture 30 to 40% of your cold traffic into an audience that you control, and then you can market to later on. It's a great time to do this because everybody's going to get a surge in traffic. Small percentage will actually convert. So build that remarketing pool. You can go out and touch that remarketing pool in January. And oh, by the way, you don't need an opt-in for direct mail. So that allows you to just touch anybody with a piece of physical collateral. And then retention. So the big use case there is like, hey, if you've got a program that's working in email, in Klaviyo or SendLane, whatever you use, you just flip that into direct mail and it's going to work just as well. In fact, if you look at the data, a very small percentage of your actual customers are subscribed and opening your emails. So you're just flipping whatever works to a broader audience. So those are really the 3 use cases. And once you're into direct mail, I'd say start with acquisition. So this is the program that it's the title of this segment. And we've developed some really cool AI we've layered on top of household data in the US. And think of it as like the world's biggest direct mail database of households in the US. And AI will then help optimize your campaign. So much like a Facebook ad where you learn over time, you can set an ROI and then send direct mail over time, and the system will optimize and increase your volume and ideally stay at a constant ROAS while you do that. It's called AcquisitionAI. You can target things like propensity to buy. You can do a lookalike. You can target women in their third trimester or type 2 diabetics. There's really like thousands and thousands of attributes you can target. So encourage you to check that out. You might all know of the postcards, these standard kind of, here's one from Dr. Squatch. You get them in the mail. But there are bigger formats like this thing called a catalog. It's like a catalog light, hexclad, right? You can really tell a brand story with this one, and then we all know catalogs. So there's a lot of things you can send. General rule of thumb is when you're doing acquisition, you want a little bit more real estate to put more in front of the customer, more likelihood that he or she is going to convert. It doesn't actually cost a whole lot more to send a catalog than a postcard, believe it or not. Third tip, consider a gift guide. So gift guides, like, what are you talking about, Sanaki? Gift guides are actually these things we put together. We call it a shared mailer, where 5 to 8 brands share one mail piece. And we hyper target these things. We either could do a lookalike off all 8 brands, or we target affinity groups, golfers, CrossFitters, paleo, whatever. And then we get non-competitive brands to share the cost of the ad. And what this essentially does, here's the backside of it, is like this thing shows up at your house. It really reduces the cost to get a mailer into a household. So you can target 100,000 people or households with these kind of mailers, these gift guides, and for a couple $1,000. It's really compelling, given that it's a very targeted audience. And these shared mailers do really well. This is the actual results from the one you were looking at called the Weekend Reset. This is new customer acquisition, and a lot of brands are profitable, at that 2-3x ROAS on cold acquisition. So this is worth a look. Great, cheap way to get into the households. Again, you're not competing for the email inbox. You're not competing for attention on Meta. You're showing up in the snail mail inbox, which is, easier to stand out. The fourth tip I'd recommend is that you run some analysis, right? So one thing I like to do going into Black Friday is what I call recency analysis. So recency is the number of days since your customers have purchased, right? So you take all your customers that ever bought from your brand and then bucket them, maybe every 30 days or 90-day buckets, going back 5 years, right? So you've got all these buckets of customers. And then you could send the same campaign, the same direct mail campaign to everybody going back 5 years, and then bucket the results. And why do you do this? You do this because you're going to see at some, the most recent customers are going to be very profitable. Customers who bought from you last week are going to be hyper responsive to your ads. The ones who bought from you 10 years ago, less so. There is an inflection point between now and 5-10 years ago where a customer is no longer profitable to market to. You want to know that so you can lean into it over Black Friday, basically cut off all the unprofitable campaigns and do really a core recency campaign to win back all these customers who bought from you over the past 4 or 5 years. It's essentially new customer acquisition, right? Because a lot of brands, when it's been 5 years since somebody bought from you, they're probably unsubscribed from your email. So a recency report's just a great way to do it. There's a case study on our site with Hexclad. That's what they did over Black Friday, did really well for them. The other thing is more of a merchandising recommendation. So, I like looking at all the lifetime values by first products purchased. So somebody who comes in and buys a suit may be very different from somebody who comes in and buys a swimsuit. Different products drive different kinds of customers. And your job as a marketer is to figure out the products that you carry that drive the highest lifetime value customers. Those are the ones that I often like to feature in my Black Friday marketing, right? Not the ones that are often worse performers, but high converters, And so just something you can do. You can add the PostPilot app. You don't have to pay anything, and you get these lifetime value reports similar to a Triple Whale or a Lifetimely, where you can actually look at the the lifetime value by product purchased. It's worth doing just so you know what to talk about in your merchandising. A couple other things to highlight when you get into your Black Friday merchandising. I think the pressure's on to be profitable on your first purchase, which may not be the case through the rest of the year, but certainly during Black Friday, you can go negative quickly with a lot of negative margin purchases. So one way to do that, bundling, some examples here, just put packs together of products of the same product or bundle together different products from your category, right, that you carry. And it's a great way to get your AOVs up, and usually the gross margin goes up with it. I would consider something like a premium service upsell that I've done before. So again, the automotive brand I ran, if you paid a certain amount on your order, you got a free consultation with somebody who could help you with your lift kit and suspension and optimizing things. It's just a nice sort of low COGS way of increasing the margin of your sale. Gifts with purchased, another thing. Basically anything you can do but discount, try to do it. Free shipping threshold, or reconsider free shipping, or set the threshold above a certain amount. Rule of thumb, I typically look at my AOV and maybe set the free shipping threshold around my average order value, because you do that, you're going to see like 50% of the purchases end up going higher than that. It's just a great way to kind of drive higher AOV purchases, which again, give you gross margin to play with. Discounting, everybody discounts. I feel like what we've done is train our customers to buy on discount. In many ways, we've pulled a lot of demand from the summer into Q4. We're not actually creating new demand. We're just reallocating it. So keep that in mind. Any way you can get around the discount, try to do it. Gifts with purchase, I'll give you some ideas here, but really reconsider the discount. And then my last tip, Black Friday doesn't end on Black Friday. I think the brands that win think in terms of customer lifetime value. They know that Black Friday is typically a good time to acquire customers, but you want to engineer a second purchase. You want that customer to come back in 30 days, in 60 days, and buy again. And how do I think about that as a marketer? I look at what's called my intra-purchase latency. So that's my past customer data. I look at how long it takes a one-time buyer to become a two-time buyer. What's average? Say it's 30 days, it's 60 days. It's a report that looks like this. And again, you can get it free if you install PostPilot. If you're on Shopify, it will kick this out. But I look at this as a marketer and I'd say, okay, most of my customers have come back to buy inside of the first 60 days. Now, what does that tell me? It tells me like a lot of my re-engagement campaigns, my second purchase campaigns should happen around that 60-day mark. And that's where you do things like handwritten VIP cards, win-back campaigns, and cross-sells. Like you can automate those to go out at the time that customer is naturally reconsidering ordering from you again, and you can engineer a second purchase. So if you want to layer direct mail in with everything else, I think the easiest thing to do is just go to postpilot.com/GFO. We got a deal there where we basically do everything for you. We give you 4 months for the price of 3. We throw in some free cards. But the key thing for you as a marketer is like, you literally could just flip us a Slack channel, flip us your email campaigns, and we'll build out your direct mail program for you. It couldn't be easier. And it's going to get you another 10, 20%, right, of lift off each of those campaigns. So I would start there if I were you. And I think that's leaves 1 minute for questions. And I see chat's been kind of going nuts, but I haven't kept up with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of questions in the chat. And also, Drew, I dropped your email so that people can see you in case they do want to continue the conversation. I think there's a lot of themes around timing and segmentation. One question I did see in the last 30 seconds here, how often do you recommend running these direct mail campaigns throughout the year?
I would say like we've got 10,000 brands on the platform. When you look at the aggregated data, it's about 50-50 automated and one-off. I mean, the one-off are more like Black Friday, Valentine's Day. The automated, it's just like Klaviyo. It's like, in fact, you can engineer this within Klaviyo. You don't even have to see our app. It's like a win-back a welcome campaign, anything that's automated in Klaviyo will just run in the background. You can even segment it to say like, hey, if they've responded to email, great. If not, send them a postcard. So it's just like icing on the cake.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Drew. Please head over to the PostPilot booth with any further questions you have. And we really appreciate the session today, Drew. Thank you so much.
Yeah, anybody shoot me an email, drew@postpilot.com. Thanks.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Good. Right? We're good? You're on mute. You're on mute there.
Yeah, so if you click on leave stage on the bottom right, you'll be good to go.